Our journey begins in a place where imagination took the form of wood, plastic, and most importantly, metal. Allow your mind to gently drift and picture a man named Elliot Handler. He was a quiet visionary, a person whose mind understood the graceful mechanics of play, how a simple object could spark an endless world of adventure. His days were spent enveloped in a space filled with the subtle, comforting sounds of creative possibility. A design studio where nascent ideas were tenderly held and softly shaped into toys. He moved with a deliberate calm, his presence a still point in a landscape of potential. He carried himself with a peaceful dignity, his eyes often reflecting a deep, tranquil thought, as if always listening to the silent symphony of design and the pure, quiet joy of children. The studio itself was a sanctuary of calm creation. It held the deep, comforting aroma of freshly sanded balsa wood, the faint, almost ethereal scent of clean, refined paint, and perhaps the slightest whisper of smooth, newly molded plastic scent that hinted at perfect, gentle curves. The light within this haven was perpetually soft, weather filtering in as a diffused, pearlescent glow from the generous windows, or emanating from the warm, steady radiance of a single, focused lamp over a drawing board. The sounds were not sharp or jarring, but a harmonious lullaby of diligent, quiet activity, the occasional, almost imperceptible whir of a sanding tool used with care, the hushed, rustling whisper of design sketches as they were carefully unrolled and smoothed flat, and the gentle click-clack of a prototype car being rolled softly across a smooth tabula sound that resonated like a comforting promise of fun, rather than a disturbance. It was truly a space where focused thought flourished, and where quiet, profound contemplation was gracefully encouraged. Elliot's dedicated work, his quiet, meticulous craft, often centered around dolls and cars. Yet, his attention on this particular day was drawn to the miniature die-cast cars of the time. These tiny vehicles carried a profound importance. They were entrusted with the task of capturing the beauty of the real world on a small scale. Envision, if you will, the serene image of a quiet, detailed reflection, steadfastly holding the majestic lines of a full-sized machine, keeping its spirit safe, still, and utterly secure. That, in its very essence, was the purpose of these little cars. But Elliot, with his quiet vision, noticed something. They possessed a remarkable ability to be beautiful, yet they lacked the feeling of effortless speed. They were silent statues of metal. He wanted them to move with a fluid, gentle grace, not a heavy, resistant drag. Elliot's hands moved with a quiet, practiced ease, a kind of muscle memory that was as gentle as a lullaby. On this particular evening, he found himself watching his son Kenneth playing. Kenneth was rolling a traditional, slow-moving miniature car across the carpet. It was a completely ordinary moment, a routine of play, much like the gentle, consistent rhythm of a quiet evening. There was no rush, no hint of urgency, just the quiet, peaceful focus on the imagination at hand. Kenneth might have sighed gently, wishing the car could move a little faster, with more satisfying, frictionless ease. Elliot could see the beauty of the small toy, but he could also feel the quiet resistance in its wheels. The toy itself felt dense and still, a small, quiet universe of potential energy that was not yet being fully released. It was a moment of perfect calm, a quiet breath before a gentle revelation. Then, something happened. It wasn't with a sharp, sudden crash, nor with a loud, jarring jolt, but with a gentle curiosity. Elliot looked up from his son's toy to his own car, a custom-built '68 Chevrolet Camaro. It wasn't the car itself that mattered, but the feeling it conveyed. Sleekness. He realized the existing toy cars felt dull and heavy, while his own car looked ... hot. It had an inherent, gentle glow of style. This is where the ordinary moment became truly extraordinary, in the most quiet and unassuming way. He decided the next toy car would not just fall forward with a thud. It would roll, it would glide. end over end, not in a clumsy wobble, but with a graceful, low-friction sweep. He watched his full-sized car, and then imagined the miniature version moving with that same quiet elegance. Elliot's first instinct wasn't to rush, but to simply understand speed at a small scale. A profound sense of gentle curiosity settled over him. He went back to the studio with a quiet and careful motion and picked up a miniature chassis. He felt the weight, but now focused on the wheels. He wanted to truly grasp the peaceful physics of their motion, the way they seemed to flow rather than resist. He began to experiment. He changed the traditional plastic wheels for something wider, with thinner axles, using a special low-friction plastic. He repeated the action, rolling the prototype with the same calm curiosity. Each time, the motion was the same calming, rhythmic, a quiet spectacle of effortless movement. He tried it on different surfaces: a smooth wooden ramp, a slightly inclined piece of felt, even a length of smooth, bright orange track. The subtle sound shifted with each surface, a satisfying low-volume whiz as the wheel spun freely, a gentle sweephead as the car glided across the smooth plastic. The repetition was a soothing, meditative act. As Elliot observed his prototype, he began to realize he was watching a perfect, newly achieved rhythm. It was a rhythm so simple, so reliable, that it became instantly calming. This was the gentle science of low friction, a perfect, continuous promise of easy motion. He compared it to other natural, soothing rhythms: the quiet, smooth slide of a polished stone on ice, the reliable, unhurried flow of a quiet stream, or the gentle, steady feeling of a slow, controlled breath. The new car carried this same peaceful assurance. When it rolled, it moved smoothly, coil by coil, or rather, wheel by wheel. Never faltering, never snagging, a low-profile wave of stillness. Its rhythm told the quietest possible story, a story of perfect harmony between design and movement, a story that gently slows your own thoughts and invites you to sink deeper into the soft comfort of the moment. Elliot contemplated the very nature of his new design, not just the wheels, but the stance of the car. It was low, wide, and slightly exaggerated, like a dream of a car that sits confidently close to the ground. This low profile was profoundly soothing. It represented the feeling of groundedness and stability a miniature vehicle that was not clumsy or top-heavy, but perfectly balanced and sure of its footing. Imagine the cool, smooth sensation of the metal as it slides, never fast, never rushed. The sound it created, that subtle, whispering whiz on the plastic track, was the sound of energy being transferred perfectly, without friction or noise, just a quiet, fluid transition from one point of rest to the next. It was the physical manifestation of effortless calm and cool style. After his quiet discovery, a profound sense of gentle excitement settled over Elliot. Not with a sudden burst, but with the soft, unhurried ease of a quiet evening. He began a new, slow project. Instead of just working on the mechanics, he began to focus on the details: the subtle, revolutionary paint finishes, the gentle curves of the body, and the distinctive red line on the tires. The soundscape within the studio transformed, softening from the whir of tools to the almost imperceptible, rhythmic whoosh of an airbrush, carefully applying the spectraflame paint. It was a melody of precision, a gentle shine that resonated only with those attuned to its quiet beauty. He would often pause, holding a newly formed, brightly colored prototype delicately in his hands, feeling its satisfying weight and recognizing the quiet, waiting potential nestled within its perfectly formed miniature body. There was no sense of urgency, only the patient grace of someone creating an object of quiet, enduring desire. As the soft, golden light of the afternoon began to fade, slowly giving way to the deeper, more profound quiet of early evening, Elliot carefully gathered his newly finished prototype, a sleek, metallic green custom Camaro. The day's work had come to a close, and he carried the car home with a deliberate, unhurried pace. He found his wife Ruth in their peaceful living space. In this hushed stillness, without a single hurried word, Elliot simply placed the small car on the carpet. With a delicate, almost imperceptible push, he allowed it to begin its extraordinary journey. There was no sudden clang, but only the faintest, most delicate whiz of low-friction wheels gracefully gliding on the carpet. And then, the mesmerizing glide began. The little car rolled and rolled and rolled, over and over, in a slow, hypnotic, and utterly peaceful dance. It was as if a small, luminous object, perfectly balanced and frictionless, was slowly covering the ground, its endless motion repeating with a profound, unhurried ease. Ruth watched, her gaze soft and steady, her breath perhaps slowing in sync with the car's gentle motion. As she watched the graceful, undulating movement, Elliot murmured, "Those are some Hot Wheels." The sound of the phrase Hot Wheels resonated with the visual poetry of the car's effortless journey, a perfect harmony of motion and sound. And so, in that hushed and peaceful evening, a new name was born, a name as profoundly soothing as the gentle toy itself. The choice of the bright orange track was another stroke of genius for this new, gentle movement. The color orange is warm, inviting, and vibrant. But in the subdued light of the studio, it represented a quiet runway for dreams. When the small car glided along the smooth, cool surface of the orange track, it did so with a satisfying, predictable smoothness. This track was an open invitation to build something simple, something repeatable, something that could provide a calming, linear motion. It was the backdrop for a quiet, gentle fantasy, ensuring that the movement was always fluid, simple, and utterly satisfying. With the name settled and the purpose clear, the focus turned back to the studio to begin production. The manufacturing efforts were not chaotic or loud, but a hypnotic, repetitive process. The die-casting machine, with its rhythmic thump swoosh, became a gentle, industrial lullaby. We listen now to its sound, not a harsh noise, but a steady, soothing whir, a continuous, rhythmic sound of effortless repetition. The small metal bodies, perfect in their form, emerged slowly from the molds, and were then quietly given their final spectraflame finish in a process that was slow and gentle, resulting in a deep, peaceful shine. You can almost hear the gentle click of the wheel being perfectly placed on its low-friction axle before the cars were quietly stacked, one hot wheel upon another, each one cool, clean, and ready to bring a gentle sense of speed and calm to a new home. The factory floor was a place of predictable, soothing productivity. The first display of the Hot Wheels was a moment of quiet, focused anticipation. Imagine the scene, a brightly lit yet softly focused toy store display, perhaps in a large, bustling market, but around the Hot Wheels display, a hushed circle of quiet observation formed. The centerpiece was a simple, bright orange loop of track. A small, perfect car was released, not with a shout, but with a gentle push. It moved with a revolutionary speed and grace, completing the loop with an effortless whoosh. There was no need for loud music or a carnival barker. The motion spoke for itself. The gentle speed, the flawless glide, the way the car moved so much faster and smoother than anything before it, created a moment of shared, quiet wonder. It was a public showing of physics, perfected, and a new kind of peaceful play. Even the Hot Wheels advertising was designed to emphasize its peaceful, yet exhilarating, nature. Instead of fast-paced jingles or loud images, early television commercials focused almost entirely on the hypnotic motion itself. A gentle voice would describe the magical way it seemed to glide, the rhythmic way it covered ground, always focusing on the feeling of quiet wonder it created. The narration was slow, soothing, and often set against quiet, minimal, yet cool background music. Its gentle speed was the star, inviting viewers to slow down and simply watch the perfection of the role. The advertising echoed the sentiment that Hot Wheels was not just a toy, but a simple, perfect piece of physics, a moment of unexpected grace in motion. This calm, consistent messaging ensured that the Hot Wheels brand was forever linked with smoothness, style, and serenity. The Hot Wheels began their slow, gentle journey not just across America, but across the world. Their popularity spread organically and peacefully, carried by the satisfied murmurs of happy customers who simply loved to roll them. They traveled not on the wings of speed or noise, but on the quiet, steady rhythm of their own graceful movement. They brought calm and wonder to countless children and adults, a simple, perfect antidote to hurried days. Their success was a global testament to the fact that sometimes the most profoundly satisfying thing is something that moves smoothly, gently, and predictably. The world quietly welcomed the Hot Wheels, and the Hot Wheels quietly rewarded the world with a feeling of deep, unhurried, and satisfying motion. This simple, small, metal car, born from a gentle observation in a quiet studio and named with a simple, cool phrase, continues its timeless, rhythmic glide, a soft, sleek thread connecting us to that original moment of serenity. It reminds us that the most joyful discoveries often happen not in moments of chaos, but in moments of quiet attention and peace. It has endured as a symbol of effortless, repeatable wonder, a toy that asks nothing of us but our gentle observation and the simple, satisfying push of a finger. And as you listen to the memory of its slow, peaceful whiz down a gentle ramp, let that smooth rhythm, that simple, constant movement, lull your own thoughts into a state of deep, quiet rest. Let the Hot Wheels glide your worries away, turn by turn, until you find yourself resting peacefully in sleep.